Let's talk about how fast is too fast when it comes to weight loss. So, there's a big difference when you're comparing people that are trying to lose weight for a performance outcome compared to people who are trying to lose weight for more so a health outcome, right? You can look at performance as people within like weight class sports, like fighters, Olympic weightlifters, power lifters, or even wrestlers, and then you look at people within the physique bodybuilding competition domain, and you can look at people basically everywhere else across the spectrum when it comes to just general health and improvement in body composition and etc., right? And so when you look at people who are purely trying to lose weight in weight cut sports like the four I just described, their intention is to lose a substantial amount of weight depends on the person really. Some people have to lose single digits, some people have to lose double digits up to the biggest I've ever seen from somebody is up to 30 pounds, right? And so people losing weight like that, it really falls back to whatever gut protocol that they're using to emptying out any of food within their intestines and digestive tract, and then some from tackling from an angle of salt and water manipulation when it comes to weights. If people are doing it within a smaller time frame, but of course trying to do things from an earlier time period, giving them a bigger window is more preferred. And that kind of dips over the same approach how people do it for health as well. But when you look at people for performance, how they are trying to lose so much weight, most of it is really coming from water, because you do hold a lot of water inside your body. And so when people are losing single to double digit body weight before a competition, their sole intention and purpose is to get within the weight class that they are trying to compete in, while also trying to maximize their performance both cognitively and physically to be able to perform in whatever sport that may be, contact or strength sport that may be. So there's a big difference when it comes to performance and health. And some of the strategies that people in weight class sports use to cut a lot of weight, mostly from water within that short time frame, within that like last week period, and a couple days leading up into it, I would definitely say those strategies are not the healthiest by any means, and nothing that anyone in a normal day-to-day lifestyle should be doing unless you are trying to get as dry as you physically can for a competition, while also optimizing your performance and cognition to be able to do the thing. Like some of the things they may do is like sitting in like sweatsuits, maybe doing a insane reduction in their calories and macronutrients and not eating and things like that, or even spitting in a cup and just sweating everything out, just using those very aggressive methods. That is for performance to make weight, and then they have either a 2 hours or a 24-hour refueling period after their weigh-in to be able to go perform. And most people gain a lot of that weight back comes from just putting actual weight of solid food back into their body by just eating, or also just by refueling fluids and then things like that. So that's when it comes to performance, and people can lose up to double digit, like 30 pounds of like water within a 1 to 3 day period. But the higher the amount the person has to lose, the more aggressive the tactic that the athlete has to take. Now, when you dip over to health, well, looking at normal weight loss, there's a difference between weight loss and fat loss. When you look at fat loss, which is what most people really want, is basically reducing your body fat percentage and just basically changing your body composition in a way that is whatever is more favorable to that person. And that's generally what most people are wanting, but people do get that mistaken for or mask behind weight loss completely, not just fat loss. Because when you say weight loss, that can mean you are also losing your adipose tissue, your fat, and then also your muscle mass and water and everything too. And so a natural rate of weight loss slash more so fat loss that I would highly recommend based off the literature is anywhere between like 0.5 to 2% of body weight per week. So easy rule of thumb or even a guide is just think 1% each week. So like for example, I weigh 160-ish pounds, so 1.6-ish pounds per week would be a very moderate weight loss rate for me. And if I wanted to go a little even more conservative, I would go around like that 1 pound per week or even half a pound per week. And the reason why you want to take it the slower route is so then you can hold on to as much muscle as you can, because muscle is very energy costly for your body. And so if you lose weight too fast, it's good chance of it is that you are going to be losing your muscle, and muscle is a lot harder to gain compared to fat loss. And so that leads to the other option that people have an option is, so the first one is to a performance way like method for a specific outcome. This one is more so a natural lifestyle method approach, and then the other one is definitely from a surgical perspective. And with this, looking at the literature, and plus with me as an exercise physiologist, I've worked with bariatric patients, and I still do as my day job for up to 2 years now, coming in April. And when it comes to bariatric surgery, people do lose a substantial amount of weight within that first year post-surgery. However, the bad side to that is that most people, by looking at the literature, is that people are losing anywhere between 17 to 23% of that weight from muscle. So up to a quarter of the weight that you are losing is coming from muscle. And that's definitely not something you want to do, because you're losing the weight so fast. There's such an extreme reduction in your caloric intake. You're not going to be able to keep up with the demands that your muscles need. And people normally who are going through bariatric surgery, this is just me from my personal perspective observation, is that the population that's coming in, they are not training very hard. They're not training from either a lack of resources, a lack of knowledge, a lack of behavior, traits, whatever the thing may be. Training is not really there in that department. And so people, and also ingestion of enough protein also. So protein, and then also the stimulus of lifting weights do matter a lot. Most people going through bariatric surgery are not getting enough protein in, and they are not getting enough stimulus from a lifting perspective. And so through the weight loss after that first year, people do lose a whole lot of weight, but they also lose a whole lot of muscle mass as a consequence of that. And how that's a negative thing would be, how that's negative is because like muscle is highly associated with like strength, and one of the biggest predictors of longevity is grip strength and leg strength. So making sure that you have enough muscle for that would be really, really important, and also for just good metabolic health. Muscle is your largest site for glucose disposal, so that's also really important too, and then for other roles and functions too, that your muscles play. So if you are losing too much muscle too fast, then that's not going to be a very helpful thing. And I know that people who get bariatric surgery do it for, like, I'll just be honest, most people do it for a superficial vanity reason, but there are people who do it for a health benefit too, from a cardiovascular and from a metabolic perspective. And people do lose a lot of weight, and it does help improve a lot of profiles, health markers, but the cost of that is you're losing a whole lot of muscle with it too, and a lot of other complications as well, that I can bring up in a different episode. But muscle is really, really important, for skeletal muscle specifically, for metabolic health. And so yes, you are improving it by reducing your total body weight and fat mass, but you're losing a lot of muscle in the process. So it's like, at what cost is actually helpful? So those are just a couple things of like looking at weight loss, of like what is too fast and like fast weight loss look like in each kind of domain for separate people. The biggest thing to take home I would recommend from this is go slow. go slow, and make sure you are consuming enough protein, making sure you are still lifting weights as well, and making sure that you are just stick around that 1% per week, and that's you're going to be able to build those habits, those behaviors, to be able to keep it off in the long run and not have to go through a surgical method, and your relationship with your food, your relationship with yourself, and just the whole process. Yes, it's going to be longer, but it's going to pay off so much more in the long term, because most people who are going through the surgical bariatric method, they do regain a lot of the weight back, or they just aren't very happy, and they're still asking questions like, why am I not losing enough? It's just not the prettiest picture, and no one's ever really happy enough, and it's because they are just doing it just to lose weight and just to feel better. And yes, there's other reasons too. Other people have a variety of reasons, but I can just see that there's something missing there. And like, you can just see people who get bariatric surgery, who, again, this is not everyone, but most people that I have worked with going through bariatric surgery just aren't the happiest. And the consistent theme of question is, what else can I do? How else can I lose that extra 5-10 pounds, and then I'll be happy? And even though their health markers have improved, which they tell me, but then at the end, after 1, 2, 3 years post-op, they're still like, well, how can I lose more? How can I lose more? How can I eat less? How can I do less? And it's just not a good road to go down when those who go the slower, the more painful, but the more rewarding, fruitful path. Even if you do both, it can work, because bariatric surgery, if you do it while also lifting and also training and protein, it can help a lot. But there's a lot still that we don't know of how it works metabolically. And since you are changing the anatomy of your stomach and your whole GI tract area, just definitely recommend the slower routes. And if you can, not to get the bariatric surgery, a surgical route, because you definitely want to hold on your muscle, and muscle is really hard to gain. And so there you go, guys. Just wanted to share that episode, since I was getting a couple of my athletes ready to go for the Arnold, the Olympic weightlifting meet at the Arnold here in 2 weeks. And also I was working with some patients early this morning, so I figured this would be a good topic to talk about. So thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.